Chapter 1. The Symmetrical Failure, July 1943. The Eastern Front stands at a knife edge. After the winter collapse at Stalingrad, Field Marshal Erich von Manstein has stabilized the front, but the Soviet Red Army has formed a massive 5,000 square mile salient bulging westward around the city of Kursk. Historically, the German High Command launched Operation Citadel, a classic double-pincer offensive targeting the northern and southern shoulders of the salient. But this broad front attack violated the foundational Prussian doctrine of Schwerpunkt, or concentration of force. Field Marshal Walter Model's 9th Army in the north faced a deeply prepared, multi-layered Soviet defense system stalling within days. But what if, 1 week before the battle, Hitler had visited the front in person and made a radical strategic pivot? What if he ordered Model to transfer every single one of his precious Panzer divisions to the south, concentrating the entire armored power of the Wehrmacht into a single, unstoppable southern fist? This is the Kursk Southern Hammer. To deceive the extensive Soviet spy network, the transfer of hundreds of panzers is executed strictly under the cover of night. In the north, fake wooden tank mock-ups are placed in the fields, and the radio signals units remain behind, transmitting a constant stream of fake radio traffic to keep Soviet intelligence convinced that the armored threat still looms in the north. Chapter 2. The Northern Shield. In the north, Walter Model is left with only his infantry divisions, supported by Germany's heavy tank destroyer battalions. His force contains the legendary Elephant tank destroyers and Sturmgeschütz assault guns, entrenched deeply in prepared defensive bunkers. Model's objective is no longer offensive breakthrough. He is conducting a massive holding action to fix Soviet General Rokossovsky's central front in place. When the battle begins on July 5th, the Soviets unleash a furious defensive barrage, but they find themselves striking an empty shell. Model's heavily armored StuGs and Elephants pulverize the oncoming Soviet armor, successfully absorbing the initial shock of the offensive. More importantly, this holding action keeps the massive Soviet reserves in the north completely occupied, preventing them from reinforcing the critical southern sector where the real blow is about to land. These entrenched tank destroyers will prove absolutely vital weeks later when the Soviet Union launches Operation Kutuzov, a massive counter-offensive targeting the Oral salient. Model's defensive fortress holds the line, bleeding the Red Army white and preventing a catastrophic breakthrough in the north. Chapter 3. The Southern Armored Fist. Meanwhile, in the south, Erich von Manstein receives a concentration of armored force never before seen in military history. Reinforced by the Panzer divisions of Model's 9th Army, Manstein's 4th Panzer Army and Army Detachment Kempf wield an unstoppable armada of over 2,000 tanks, including hundreds of new Panthers, Tigers, and heavily upgraded Panzer IVs. On July the 5th, the southern pincer erupts. The sheer, concentrated mass of German armor crushes the 1st and 2nd Soviet defensive lines within 48 hours. Soviet General Vatutin, commander of the Voronezh front, is horrified to find that his defenses are not facing a standard German course, but a colossal unified armored wave. When the critical clash occurs at the railway junction of Prokhorovka, Vatutin commits his last operational reserves, the 5th Guards Tank Army. Historically, Prokhorovka was a brutal tactical draw that exhausted German momentum. But in this alternative timeline, the reinforced German panzer groups completely overwhelm the Soviet T-34s. The Soviet armor is obliterated in the open steppes of Prokhorovka, and German tanks break through into the rolling open country behind the Soviet defensive lines. Chapter 4. The Annihilation of the Red Reserve. With the breakthrough achieved, Manstein's colossal armored column sweeps rapidly eastward and northward, sealing the neck of the Kursk salient from the south. The massive Soviet Central and Voronezh fronts, comprising over 600,000 soldiers, are completely trapped in a giant pocket. Simultaneously, this massive southern armored fist pivots northward, threatening the vulnerable flank of the Soviet forces executing Operation Kutuzov. The Soviet Strategic Reserve, the massive steppe front under Ivan Konev, is committed to plug the gap, but they are systematically encircled and annihilated in open maneuver warfare. The capture of 600,000 Soviet troops and the loss of 300,000 killed completely hollows out the Red Army's manpower reserves, shifting the balance of power on the Eastern Front permanently. By concentrating their armored forces into a single devastating Southern Hammer and utilizing a brilliant operational deception, the German military ace.